Okay, yesterday I showed you an example of a pay stub or an earning statement. And so, of course, if you have a job, yours might look a little different than this one, but this is the basic one we're going to work off of. Now, the thing to pay attention to, and I went over this yesterday, and that is gross pay, and that's how much money before taxes you make. And then all of these here are deductions. All of these will be subtracted from your gross pay to get your net pay. Okay, so this is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about each individual deduction and how they're taken out of your paycheck and how you figure out how much money you make versus how much money you started out with. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, the very first question that we have is a medical insurance premium question. Now, the reason I threw this in there is to remind you how to figure out how much medical insurance will be taken from you each paycheck. And I just wanted to make sure we're good with this. All right, so let me zoom in just so we can, I don't think I can. All right, well, I can do that. All right, so Tammy's medical insurance premium is $15,800, okay? Now, this right here represents the total. This is how much it costs every year for Tammy to be insured, all right? Now, she pays 18% of that. All right, so the first thing we need to do is, okay, she pays 18% of this. So the first step is, well, let's see, we'll do 15,800, and we're going to times that by 0.18. All right, so my calculator here. So 15,800 times 0.18, enter. All right, so that means Tammy has to pay every year $2,844. Okay, now let's keep reading. But see, here's the thing. If she received her check monthly, all right, so this is yearly. This is how much she has to pay in a year, and we have to convert that to a month. All right, so a year to a month, we would divide by 12 because there's 12 months in a year. So 2844, I'm going to divide that by 12, press enter. So every single month, she would get $237 taken away from her. All right. Now, keep this question in the back of your head because we will be dealing with this as we move on. All right. So let's go to example number 2. All right. So Glenn Graybar is a painter and he earns $24,700 a year. He is single and he claims 3 allowances. Now, here's the things that you need to pay attention to. Obviously, yes, it's important to pay attention to how much he makes, but also you need to pay attention to weekly. All right. So this is how much he makes, but he gets paid weekly. All right. So you're going to have to do a little bit of division here. All right. Now let's look at the pay. This is the example of the pay stub we're going to use. Okay. The employee, it's Glenn, but I'll be honest with you, you don't have to fill this out. That's okay. The period ending, all this, you really don't have to worry about that, okay? So the things that you do have to worry about is gross pay, net pay, and all these little blanks up underneath, all right? So let's figure out our gross pay. Now remember, gross pay is before taxes. This $24,700 is before taxes. But again, remember, it's a year. We need to convert it to a week. So I'm going to divide that by 52. Now, where a lot of students mess up is they're going to take 24,700 and they're going to put it right here. Okay, don't do that because yes, that's how much he makes, but this is an earning statement right here. All right, so 24,700, divide that by 52 because it's a year or a week. Every single paycheck he gets $475 gross pay. Now, what we're going to do is start figuring out all of our deductions. So let's start reading. Now it says he is single and claims 3 allowances. Okay, that's good to know, but it has nothing to do with this question. All right, it's just extra information. FIT, this is federal income tax of 12.5%. I'm just going to write 12.5% right up underneath. It's easier just to write all the numbers down here, just so you don't have to keep on going back up into the problem. Social Security, Medicare, okay. Now, these are 2 numbers that I'm going to make you remember, but not right now. I'm going to give it to you. Social Security is always 6.2%. Medicare is always 1.45%. You're going to have to remember that. Okay, so keep in mind, you're going to have to remember. The state tax is 3%. The local tax is 1.75%. Now, I went ahead and just gave it to you. $14.50 for medical insurance. So there's nothing to figure out. All you got to do is put $14.50 right there. And union dues of $12 a week. So I don't have to figure anything out. I'm just going to write 12 there. Okay. All right. Now, all you do, very simple, is that you take the gross pay and you times it by the percentage. All right. So watch. 475 times, now 12.5% is 0.125, enter. And that is $59.38. We're going to have to round. All right. Now, gross pay times it by 6.2%. That gives you $29.45. All right. So again, 475 times this. Now, folks that have jobs, this is how they figure it out. They just take how much you make and times it by the percentages. $6.89 or $6.89. Gross pay times state. 475 times 0.03. 1425. Local. 475 times 0.0. $8.31. All right. So these are all the deductions. Now notice right here there's an other category, and there's nothing in here to tell us about the other. So honestly, you just kind of leave that blank. All right. So don't even worry about that. All right. So what we have here is Glenn's gross pay, which is $475, and then we are going to figure out what his take-home pay is. Now, very simple. This is what you do. You have $475, and you subtract all of the deductions. All right. So, with your calculator, we have. Let's see if I can focus. Is going a little crazy. All right, there we go. All right. So, starting with 475, and then just start subtracting your deductions. Minus 39 or 59.38 minus 29.45 minus 6.89 minus 1425 minus 8.31 minus 1450 minus union dues, which is 12. Press enter. That's his net pay. So he made $475, and after subtracting all the deductions, he has a net pay of $330.22. That's how much money his check will be written out for. All right. Now, let's try another one. Paul works for Smith's Feed and Seed. He works full-time, and he gets paid $15 an hour. All right. He is married, and he claims 2 allowances. Here we go. Bi-weekly. All right, now this is where it's going to take. Sometimes setting up the problem for gross pay is a little tricky. Don't overread it. Okay. All right, so he works full-time. Well, full-time is 40 hours a week. All right. But he gets paid bi-weekly. So that means 2 40-hour a week. 2 40-hour weeks, I guess. All right. So that's a grand total of 80 hours. All right. So that means his paycheck has 80 hours on that. 80 hours at $15 an hour. All right. So 80 times 15. His gross pay is $1,200. Okay. Now from here, once you figure out your gross pay, federal, Social Security, Medicare, state, local, these tax deductions are relatively simple. It's stuff like this that's medical, and we'll get to that in 1 second. So let's keep reading. Biweekly deductions, an FIT of 4%. All right. So sometimes the percentages change, except Social Security and Medicare. That's going to be 6.2%. Medicare is 1.45%. State tax is 2%. Sometimes state taxes change throughout the problem. Local tax of 1%. All right. Let's keep reading. He pays $20 a pay period for union dues, so that's $20 here. All right, let's keep reading. And he pays 25% of his annual medical insurance of $6,000. All right, now I went ahead and wrote it down here just so you know that this is kind of like a problem within a problem. All right, so this question right here is very similar to this question right here. All right, so this is a problem within a problem. All right, so the same thing we did right here, we have to do right here. All right, so if you remember, the first thing we did was we times his premium of $15,800 by what, in this case, Tammy was responsible for, which is 18%. So he pays 25% of his annual medical insurance. All right, so his annual medical insurance, in this case, is $6,000. All right, so he's kind of having a cheat plan. All right, so first thing I got to do, you got to take $6,000 and times it by 0.25. And I get $1,500. So let me write it out. 6,000 times 0.25. Okay, now going back here. Tammy was paid monthly, so we had to take his, or her, sorry, yearly responsibility and divide it by 12. Glenn, no, not Glenn, Paul, sorry, Paul, he has to pay $1,500 yearly. And we have to convert that to, read the question, bi-weekly. So this will be bi-weekly. All right, so the question is, what do you do for yearly bi-weekly? Well, hopefully you know now you have to divide by 26. So 1,500, divide that by 26, you get an answer of $57.69. All right, so this will be the medical deduction for this problem. All right, now if you keep reading, there's nothing in the other. Sometimes you'll have a problem, sometimes you'll have another, sometimes you won't. In this case, we don't. Now from here, take 1,200 and multiply it by all the percentages. All right, so I'm going to speed this up a little bit. 1,200 times 0.04, which is 48. 1,200 times 0.060, $74.40. Medicare, $17.40. $24. Local is $12. All right. So again, this is how much he made originally, $1,200. These are all the deductions. So just take the gross pay, subtract it by all the deductions. And I don't care how you do this. If you want to do it, like if you want to add all this up first and then subtract it from 1,200, that's perfectly fine. Or if you just want it in your calculator to start with 1,200 and just start doing this. Now the only thing about this, if you do it, and that is make sure you put everything in the calculator correctly. Oh, there we go. Lights went out. Minus 20. Enter. $946.51. That's how much his take-home pay is, his net. All right, that's it. Hope you learned something. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for watching.